Hey guys, how y'all doing? I'm here to give you guys a recap on the new episode of Nanatsu no Taizai, Imashime no Fukkatsu, or you can call it the 7 Deadly Sins, Revival of the Commandments, which is on episode 4. Now, this episode right here, I'm going to tell you guys right now, it adapted chapters 117 to 119. Those of you guys who are manga readers would know what I'm talking about. And, of course, if you watched the episode, which I did, of course, and decided to take a look back to the manga to see if they adapted everything right, you would actually know. Well, that's what I did. And I had to be sure of it to make sure they did not miss a lot of scenes. Well, they didn't miss a lot. I think they might have, changed maybe a couple or omitted some scenes, but it still did a pretty good job. So, if anything else, let's just get this started. We have to it that this monster that's similar to Albion in last week's episode ends up having to strike towards the Fairy King's forest, and apparently it's causing a major rampage, and everyone's really being distraught right now because the home is going to be destroyed again. But King comes into play and tries to fight that thing off, but apparently he is getting injured really badly right now, and he's not really holding on to as best as he's not, and he's getting a major beating out of it. And apparently it does add a little small scene to it where, I think one of the friends of King, or Harley Quinn if you want to call him, which is his real name, that they kind of hated him because he left the forest, and now they're just being surprised to see to it that he's really pushing himself to protect his home. And we had to it that Jericho and the small fairy decide to go after Bon and goes like, where the hell is he right now? And we have to it that there's some vines that's blocking the way right now, and it is so. And we have to it that this person Harade, of course, or Gerade, however you want to pronounce the name, which her name is revealed in this episode, ends up having a small talk with Bon and says, we have no need for a king like you as a human. The sacred tree is the one that chooses its king, and we only need Harley Quinn. And Bon says, look, I never wanted to be called king in the first place, and I never wanted to be taking the title of Fairy King, okay? So you hating me and everything else after Elaine told me everything about this here and there, it's no surprise it's no surprise. But Harade says, I'm grateful for you for what you did for the forest after what the Demon Clan has done. But you see here, the only king they need is Harley Quinn, and she ends up attacking Bon. And Bon, on the other hand, effortlessly defeated her attacks, of course. And, of course, Harade, in the physical format, is kind of exhausted. And Bon says, you don't have to ask me to leave. I'll be out of here before you know it. You understand that? And Harade's like, I can't let you do that. And she secretly ends up attacking Elaine's body. And freaking, Bon had to protect that body because, of course, Bon loves Elaine. We all know that. And ends up being injured in the process, but in an ugly way. We have to it that Jericho cuts her way through the roots and manages to reach Bon because there was some root shield between Jericho, Harade, and other things to let her reach Bon. And Jericho's like, Bon, what the hell's going on here? And Harade therefore explains to Jericho oh, you don't have to worry, because this man will continue to live as the fountain in aloof beside his beloved forever. And Bon right there is being got pierced, and right now he's about to be used as a fountain of youth whatsoever, as Harade says. Then that's how 117 ends off right there. And going to 118, we have to it that Jericho was trying to get Bon out of there, and Harade was informed by one of the fairies that there's a giant monster outside. And Harade is actually really surprised after she saw the monster because she goes wait a minute, that monster is a weapon of the Demon Clan. How in the hell did it manage to get over here? And we had to it that King is doing the best he can to fight this Albion off, but he ends up being injured pretty badly, and he ends up having to use everything he's got, but he knows that he can't just die here and there, and he's trying to give it all he's got to defend his home. But it's really futile as you see it if you watch the episode. And we have to it that Albion swings his one arm and ends up cutting the new sacred fairy tree down. And apparently we have to it that Bon, on the other hand, is okay for the time being, while King is in distraught knowing that he can't protect the home again. We have to it that the fairies encourage Harley Quinn to get out of there, and two of the fairies apologizes to King by saying, "You still are king after all, just please don't die, okay?" And King, on the other hand, says, "No, stop, you guys don't stand a chance." And we have to it, he tells Harade to let him go. But Harade says, "No, I can't do that. As long as the king lives and exists, the fairy forest will come back. But what do you think will happen if the king is gone? What will happen to the fairy clan? What will happen to the forest? You understand what's going to happen, right?" And we have to it that Albion effortlessly just like was killing these fairies, and we have to it that Hellbrom that talks to King with King wearing his helmet tells him, "You know, you should listen to Harade and you should run while everyone holds this monster back. To be honest, it's too strong for you." And we have to it that we get a little history lesson from let me see here, King's friend. I forgot his name, of course, like Hellbrom. Yeah, Hellbrom. He ends up explaining like how the fairy clan became so lazy that they always rely on the king to do everything for them. But after they saw you having to like have the courage to try to fight this thing to protect their home, they finally got their pride back and wanted to try to fight for their home. And Hellbrom therefore explains to King, "You sacrificed so much for yourself, for your friends, and everyone else already. I think this is the perfect time that you get to be selfish for once. Go back to your big, cute girlfriend, okay?" But we have to it that King agrees to go back to Diane, but he needs to make this work, and he ends up using Sacred Treasure Release and explains that he is a selfish king and he wants to protect the forest, his friends, especially Bon and Elaine, everything all together, and he ends up releasing the true spirit spear Achastafal to its uttermost limit, and ends up having to like launch it towards the Albion that was terrorizing the Fairy King's forest, and manages to destroy the Albion greatly, and therefore the battle ends there. That's where 118 ends off at. This is where 119 comes in and where it ends the episode off. We have to it that we go to a scene where Hendrickson says he has to inform everybody about the situation because he knows the 10 Commandments are very strong right now, and even just the aura alone is enough to frighten the living hell out of Hendrickson himself, and he ends up falling down to the ground exhausted and scared. We have to it that that Dreyfus, which is obviously being controlled in a certain way, I mean like a little minor spoiler ahead, ends up explaining, well, I'm pretty sure it's already been explained already if you watched the series for a long time, especially with the Holy Signs of War, etc. Explains to Zeldris that the Albion is destroyed, apparently, and we have to it that Marisol is like, who cares, they're just rusty old toys or something. And Galen was actually very happy about this because there's some people out there that is actually rising against us, and then he's going to be going for a bit to like maybe exercise or a wake up stretch. And we have to it that Zeldris, on the other hand, is trying to like stop Galen and tells him to think about this. He even told him like, you understand that it was our pride and our arrogance is what got us to being sealed in humiliation, right? And we have to it that Galen says, don't let it bother you. I'm going to go take a look around for a bit. And we have to it that Galaxinia, in other cases, which I'm pretty sure his name was introduced around the first episode, like explains to Galen like well, which place you want to go to. There's one where like there's a power signature nearly double of that of Albion, and the signature from the seemed to be self-destructive right after its attack reflected back. And of course, Scotland thanks him very much and says, I decide where to go, and ends up going to a certain location. After Arthur hears about the situation about the Albions to the Ten Commandments and Demon Clan, it's a really hard pill to swallow, but Meliodas tells him all this is pretty true. It's a hard time believing it, but you gotta trust me on this one. Even some of the Holy Knights go hey, if I didn't see this with my own eyes, I would not even believe it. Even Diane asks Meliodas, against someone like that, do you think we even have a chance against him? And of course, there was a little addition to a scene where Diane is getting a little foggy memory again, and her eyes are changing, And this is where it was just a little filler scene, though I think it fits correctly with what's been going on, so yeah. But we also see a scene where Hawk explains to everyone that Meliodas can just clone himself, and there's nothing to be afraid of, That move right there is actually pretty slick. And we had to it that that when Elizabeth sees Meliodas' clones or something, she was wondering, hey, is this really an illusion? And Meliodas is you think so? And we had to it that he uses all of his clones to grow up Elizabeth so hard right now that it was just hilarious. I'm thinking in my mind, oh my gosh, dude, that's just freaking funny. And we have to it that Slander and Diane beats the clones in a comical way because of what they've done. And we have to it that that Hawk explains, you see here, Meliodas' power level is 3,370. And add 5 to that, it has to be over 16,000. But when he looked at it, he goes huh? Hold on. It's their power levels is only over 420 except for the original. And we had to it that Merlin explains that Lost Veins' power that the captain has is this way. The more clones he splits, the more power level is given to them. For example, since there's 4 clones and there's and there's Meliodas' power level 3,370, we have to it that it equally gets a certain amount of power to its original power level. For example, Meliodas' power level is 370, right? So if you divide that to 4 clones or something, it will equally get that certain amount of power to equal to that power level. For example, 4 of Meliodas' clones is 420 each. To add that up with the original power level of Meliodas, which is 1685, that's if he's using his clones, it will equal to the original 3,370. Like I said, it's really complicated. I'm really sorry for the complicated situation. So I'm trying to put this as simple as possible. Pretty much, Lost Veins' special ability, that Meliodas' weapon that he is using, it allows him to make clones of himself, but his power gets distributed equally. That's all I can really say. If you watched the episode or read the manga, you would know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, you'll be very confused and go what the hell are you talking about? Okay, enough of me being very irrelevant about what's going on. We have to it that that Hawk seems to understand the situation, but you see here that with Meliodas having to use full counter in certain amount of clones, it actually fits very well for Meliodas alone. And we had to it that that Hawk seems to understand sacred treasures now and ask Diane about what's her sacred treasure ability or something, etc. But I think that scene was kind of omitted a bit, like I said. Although we see to it that Elizabeth and Slander end up having a little small talk about seeing how Elizabeth was unable to do anything, but we have to it that I guess there's no necessary to try to help Meliodas that much anymore. But we have to it that there was There was a scene that kind of got omitted apparently, which I'm really which I'm pretty like a little upset about, but I don't think it's too much of a big deal, I guess. This one was like in the manga right now that Merlin explains that there's a king's prophecy that isn't making sense for me. Like, a beast with the likeness of a mountain shall awaken, 3 heroes shall stand up against it, and darkness shall bore a great hole into the land. And that is where like one scene was missing, where Merlin explains a king's prophecy. But beforehand, like since that scene got omitted, we get to we get to the scene where they hear thunder, and this is where Galen makes his move and appears and says, "It took me 72 steps to get over here. Dang, you know what? I thought it was only going to take me 70, but you know, I've become very slow in the past 3,000 years. And Meliodas says, "You must be the 10 Commandments, Galen." And we have to it that Galen says, "You know, it's been a long time, Meliodas, so it was you. I'm really glad I made the right choice to come here." And we have to it that freaking Hawk says, "Merlin, I think this freaking Balor's eye is busted or something, or magical eye is busted." And we have to it that Merlin's like, "What are you talking about?" And Hawk's like, "This can't be right. It says that his power level is 26,000. And I'm pretty sure all you anime onlys must have had your jaws dropped after seeing this. I'm thinking in my mind, yeah, you'd be freaking surprised. So, yeah. Overall, thought the episode was pretty slick and pretty fun. I mean, like, they did omit some... I think they omitted some scenes, such as Merlin talking about a certain prophecy before Galen appears. That's about it. I think there might be more to it, but I think that's about it. I think that might be the only scene that has been omitted, but a filler scene was added in of Diane having this weird headache again with her eyes changing. So, whatever the case may be, it's still a pretty cool episode. Like I said, it adapted chapters 117 to 119, like, which is pretty slick, not too bad. I mean, like, still had some fun. And I know my recap was going to be very long anyway, because, like, I wanted to, like, let you guys know, like, what chapters have been adapted and what scenes was going to be omitted or missing, possibly. So, yeah, that's about it. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the episode as much as I did. So, until then, I'll see you guys in my next video. So, I'm Officer People. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time, alright? Peace out. Bye-bye. Toot-toot-toot!